Hello and welcome to our next arc of this game of Free from the Yoke. Free from the Yoke is a low fantasy, Slavic mythology, Slavic history inspired RPG that is built on the Legacy Life Among the Ruins game. We're at kind of the midpoint. Last time we had the decision making about what went on in the wake of a project being completed. This time we're going to be bringing in a new house, new character. We're going to be figuring out what the new project is, and we're going to be rolling into the court. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this is part of the Gauntlet Gaming Calendar. And if you enjoy watching AP videos or listening to them, if you're listening to this on the podcast version, we've got a ton of them. We've got a lot of legacy games. We've got a number of versions of Free from the Yoke that are out there. So please check that out. So let's go through the houses to introduce what the houses are about and what our characters are about now, because there have been some small changes. We have 10 years have passed, and there have been some choices that have been made. So I'm going to start from the second position. They're the envoys of the Umote Alliance there. Brian, tell us about what they're about right now and what your character Ziv is about now.
So the Umote Alliance is a nation, a separate nation from this land that we're playing in, and our house is just the envoys from that nation, the representation here, and I'm looking for where it describes it in the character sheet, because there's the Umote Alliance. It is an alliance of a number of I forget exactly what they're calling them, but oh, there it is. No, forgetting exactly how it's described. Can't find it on the character exactly, but yeah, it's not one central power. It's a collection of powers, and the envoys who live here, have kind of lived here for quite a while. They're fairly integrated throughout society, and my character, they are the ambassador Ziv. And
where are they at now? 10 years have passed. They were in a good position when we ended last time.
They have married a native who is actually from like a sort of isolated subculture in this one forest that has been abandoned because of somewhat mysterious dark forces and werewolves, and so that those people have left that forest and have kind of become integrated with the envoys, and I've switched roles to champion, which for an ambassador is when you mark when you bring peace within two groups. So I don't know if we want to figure out who those were, I guess.
Yeah. So who do you think would have been? We have your groups, and then we have a number of other smaller factions that are on the table. We have the old nobility. We have the people of that forest of the Red Forest. We have the Kingdom of Drago in the south that you guys have had some tension with. We have this new merchant alliance that we established last time. The Compact of the Roads is what I called them. And of course, we have the Church of Uncreated Fire. And we still have werewolves wandering the land.
I wonder if it would be like the old nobility and the merchants. What is the compact of the roads? Is that what you
They're
said?
the new sort of rising merchant group.
Yeah. So I could definitely see there have been could have been tensions there.
Between them and
The old nobility
old
wasn't that?
nobility. Okay. Um, so so we know and we'll figure out names for that. You have a contact in the old nobility, and then you have a contact amongst these merchants. That's one of the things you get from that. And the other thing is, I think that the grudge that is holding them apart is this sense of the nobility of a certain class, and that merchants and the merchant class are beneath the role of the nobility there, and that's the sort of the ongoing grudge that's keeping them apart right now. Does that sound fair?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's come to our next house, which is the keeper of the old runes.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm David, playing these guys. These folks here, they are kind of um the self-styled kind of protectors of knowledge and old spells and kind of like true magic, like based around the yeah, just the true names kind of different objects and ideas even. And it, but very dangerous. Therefore, it must be, very carefully regimented according to them. So they kind of accept people from all other areas of the country to kind of study over them and, they will decide for themselves if these people are good enough or smart enough to use these runes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I have been playing Soina, who was a young prodigy who kind of was starting to question the the old kind of elders of the keepers, and now she's gone from a lore master to a vagabond. I feel they've kind of sent her off, like go ahead and do your study abroad, as long as you stay out of our hair, is how I'm imagining this. And before, she was kind of one of the first people theoretically that at least publicly was talking about how some of these old runes that were considered to be permanent kind of words that never change. Some of them are going through alterations and combinations and maybe decay or something. It's very fascinating to her, although for whatever reason the keeper's just like, don't worry about it. Don't stop talking about that.
And we know that the werewolves are part of a curse, maybe tied into one of these runes. We know that the people of the Red Forest, that there's some people who've managed to bend both the rune for beast and for forest and shape that into something else. And there's also been some manipulation of the sort of the ocean rune that has gone on. So there are lots of different magics that are manifesting. And last time you literally manifested the rune for protection to buttress the aqueduct. So
Right.
there are some magics out there. And so you become a vagabond. You had one role marked on your previous character, so you carry that checkbox over. So you'd be at 2 checks on your roll track. What is your new role with Stonia?
Yeah, I think based on that, I've made her the outsider.
And what is that? What does that ask?
So I would mark when you set out into the world to walk your own path. Say what legends you're chasing the truth of, and the GM says where you might find further clues.
What legend is she chasing?
Yeah. Also, in the last thing, we were talking about these kind of lost magical emeralds, like a cave of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was for sure interested in going after those. I forget like the ridiculous D&D, like 70s D&D adventure module we named them.
Oh yeah,
It's like the crystal emeralds of.
It was a lost mine of Philander's gems,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
And as I recall, did you get a hold of them last time, or were you just found out about them last time?
I'm pretty sure I just found where they
Yeah.
were.
Yeah. So I think that it will hint to you that the mine is a good source of information, because there may be other gems like these emeralds that are out there that may have different properties. You found that little scant piece of information, but yeah, so that makes a sense as a good place for you to go to. That brings us to Samat. So Samat, how have you changed? And tell us about your family as well.
Sure. I'm Scott. I use he, him pronouns, and I am playing the Horse Lords of the Steppe. We are more nomadic of the houses. In fact, we sacrificed our land in support what land we had after the original Imperial had fallen, and we sacrificed it for the great project. So right now we are a somewhat scattered people. Despite that, we're still, holding as strong as we can. There isn't as much dissension in the houses as one might suspect, but it's close. And I'm continuing to play Samat. Samat has changed to the Bogatyr, which is more of the kind of martial class, martial role, having been the scout. And within that, I am the champion role. Samat, during these 10 years, has been finding places for some of the families to raise their herds, to breed their herds, trying his best to find out more about the lands to the south, wherein there is potential new land for the house as a whole. And in fact, greatly hopes to go conquer what lies there and keeps people away, so that the Horse Lords can indeed be safe and have their own land once again.
So who or what is this particular foe that your character as champion has sworn to confront?
So there was like a worm thing, right? We had like almost like a dragon style presence that I felt when I'd gone there, and so I have sworn to defeat it and clear that land for us.
All right. I think that oath has a certain amount of power to it. What is one thing that you won't do until you deal with this dragon?
Oh, that's a really good question. What won't I do? Well, it's 10 years now, so I'm in my mid-30s. I should be married. I should be settling. I will not settle. I will not find my own peace until this quest is completed. Indeed, those who knew Samat before sense a tension when they're in his presence that wasn't there in the past.
And I think there's a certain amount of enchantment that means that honorable warriors, honorable foes from the other houses, they will not be able to harm you until this is dealt with. All right. So let's come to Sam. Let's have you tell us first about the house that you're working with.
Yeah, so hello, my name is Sam Zimmerman. I use he and him pronouns. And today I will be playing characters from the Cult of the Kraken. We are a seafaring house. In the olden days, we kind of got our start as pirates and raiding vessels. Since then, some folks stick to the old ways, but a lot of folks have found it much easier to make a living as merchant vessels or trading ships or other like transport vessels, that kind of thing. And so we have branched out in the recent past. We are a very loosely organized house. The kind of the governing body is a group of 7 captains who meet once every 7 years to make major decisions.
Wow.
And that happened a few years ago, sometime in the middle of this 10-year skip, but we are not anywhere near another moot. And other things that I should probably bring up. Going down through the kind of character creation things.
Yeah.
The Empire treated us as petty thieves and pirates. And so I believe that means that I start at favor +1 with the Arbiter.
Absolutely.
The Cult of the Kraken and the Keepers of the Old Runes have an ancient treaty that dates back millennia, and it is claimed that breaking the pact will bring about the end of days.
Like that, David? You good with that?
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Okay.
So after hearing this conversation, I have a little more ideas of where I want to go with that, particularly to this bending and breaking of the sea rune, but we will see where that goes. One of the other ones, the Empire used my boats to carry their explorers to unknown lands, where they went beyond the northern seas and forged a pact with the earthanthropes that live on the far side of the ocean.
Ooh.
So there may be werebears still mingling among us.
That's perfect.
And then the last question was, what atrocity was your house complicit in? I think that the cult was complicit in the burning of the steps. And so we have the first throne. We helped raid the first throne while the Empire kind of moved in from the west and kind of pincered the steppe peoples, if that is okay with Scott.
So Scott, you will have influence on the Kraken.
Yes. So you start with influence on me.
And then tell us about the populace and culture picks that you took.
Yes. So the people of the Kraken, most of the population are sailors, captains, those who work on the boats, but there are a very select few that live permanently on land and build ships, and those that this is considered a great sacrifice. And so those who spend their days on dry land but contribute back to the cult in this way are given a special place of honor within the society. That is kind of the nobility class, as it were. And then the culture is kind of rough, practical, and pragmatic, designed to live at sea for extended periods of time with little to no finery.
And you have some landmark choices, and I'll let you kind of, as you have a chance, kind of add those onto the map, and we'll talk about those.
Yeah, so I put on the lost city of Gallara, way off in the Eastern Sea, a city that at one point was kind of this big island metropolis, and through some cataclysmic event was completely submerged.
Like a Kraken?
So now, Potentially.
Yeah. We
And
know that the Kingdom of Drago has people that worship the figure of the Kraken, and it's sort of there is a Kraken, or there might be more than one Kraken. We don't know.
yeah, I love that. And so there is only the single tallest building, which was this great tower, still sticks out of the ocean, and it is basically this standing ring of stones that
Nice.
sticks out of the waves.
Doctrine and Lifestyle give you moves. What did you take for the 2 picks on that?
So my doctrine is safe at sea. The ocean grants safety. My character and house have advantage on all rolls to resist adversity while at sea. And then lifestyle is coastal towns. Each one of your settlements on the sea coast or banks of a river, you do not trigger logistics when moving surpluses between settlements.
And we'll have to choose where you think sort of your key settlement will be on the map there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have for needs and surpluses?
So I have an abundance of fleet and sailors, and we are constantly in need of lumber, skins and furs, and fish.
Okay.
So basically, the supplies needed to foster those people.
Yeah. So it's just that you have such a need for fish because they're preserved, they're easy to transport. They're part that makes sense to me for that. What did you take for your moves?
So my 2 moves are summon the fleet. Even when they range far from home, your captains remain part of the fleet. How do you call for aid? And I love this ritual of shedding your blood into the water while calling for a particular captain, and they will know where you are and how to get to you. And so that it gives me a role and lets me pick some benefits.
Nice.
And then the second move is raid and plunder. When I seize by force a coastal settlement, I can pick from you quickly move any surplus found back onto your boats. The settlement civilians don't fight back, or you're able to disarm their defenses before you strike.
Nice. Anything else you want to tell us about your house?
We have a fleet of a numerous and swift fleet. We have axes forged basically from the beginning, and each individual ship and family has kind of this ancestral axe that they've brought down with them. And I think that's all I got for now.
One of the things that'll be a threat, perhaps, that you'll be worrying about, is that there are some an evil group of Kraken worshippers who have appeared and taken over an old fortress. And they call it now the Kraken's Feast Hall is what they've called it, and they are certainly. I mean, your name is not without tarnish already, but they are perhaps making it a little darker than you might care for. So with that in mind, tell us about your character.
Yes. So as a character, I will be playing as Kervold, who is an old wizened lore master. He is of this shipbuilding quote unquote nobility class, even though he wouldn't look it to anyone who's outside of this community. He is a champion of the Kraken. He has been sent by this moot of 7 to investigate the breaking of the sea rune, I think. And as not as like a you have to go and do a thing, they would have sent somebody a little hale and heartier, but he is kind of renowned for his adherence to the old ways. And so if anybody was able to figure out what's going on, it would be Kervold.
Excellent. And what move did you take?
I took Remembered Oaths. When you demand someone honor promises they made, do not find roll common ground. Instead, roll this move. on a hit, I can curse them for not fulfilling their promise. And I picked Discern Significance. When you unearth forgotten lore, you can always ask one question in addition to your roll, and you can also pick from a list of other questions.
Oh, very nice. So we have backstory questions, and you can ask any of those, at least one. The way backstory helps is backstory basically is mechanic. You can get advantage on an assist roll if you have a backstory with someone. So are there any of those that you want to throw out there and maybe you want to see if will fit, or do you have some ideas about?
But yeah, I figured I'd just kind of toss these to the
Sure.
rest of you guys and see what you think. The first one, I don't understand how blank can do the things they do. I'm almost imagining this less in a magical way and more of like a morals way.
What do you think would be more questionable to you, being an ambassador of foreign land, being an outsider in your own house, or having sacrificed your family's lands for the empire?
I'm almost thinking it would be interesting to have it be like how could you how could you live so far away from your home for such a long period of time type thing.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
just with the ambassador.
You like that, Ziv?
Works for me.
Okay. Any of the others you wish to ask?
I think maybe I want to teach Estonia what's truly important would fit. Since you've kind of created this kind of wandering vagabond character and I'm this old lore master. I think that fits with the dynamic.
Yeah.
And do
I
you
kind
want
of
to
feel our characters could have kind of a almost maybe not quite antagonistic, but I feel she would definitely be wary of you, like because she's been working against all these like elderly lore master types for so long. So that'd be an interesting dynamic for sure.
I guess if Samat, if you want to say, I don't think Samat knows, I know what they did. I don't know what that would be if you're interested in that. If not, then we can leave it blank.
Interesting. Well, so we already have on the table, you're not aware of this, but I had inadvertently shared with Ziv the secret of horse breeding, which is something only known to the horse lords. So perhaps you're also aware of that. Up to you. It's certainly a dreaded secret of Samat's that's already on the table.
I mean,
and putting it in the hands of two different people always.
Your house is out to sea. My allies are these micronations up in the top right. Yeah. So you might be the first to hear about there's horse lord type breeding going on back in Umote, people are saying.
Yeah. The other
how that
that's pretty good. The other thing I was thinking, I have this ability to curse people that don't hold their promises, and maybe there's some supernatural I know you didn't hold up your promise. I don't know what it is, but I don't trust you.
Okay. So it's not that you know the specifics of, but you know that they have violated some kind of trust.
Yeah,
that works. That's nice.
Okay. So I think it gives us a good sense of our characters. Now, the next big decision that we have to make is what project is on the table for this next era. Last time we did a great construction. This time should choose a different one. Let me walk through what the options are. And So the options are expansion. The Arbiter thinks the land isn't big enough. Bit by bit or by grand annexation, they mean to swell the nation's size. This means, pushing over borders, taking over areas that haven't been theirs or have been lost. Those are our possibilities. Next, there's transformation. There's something about the nation's culture that the Arbiter wishes to alter through education or chastisement, incentives, or strong oppression. They will try to reshape your society. Open war. There is open conflict at the nation's borders. Armies march and convoys rumble, while those seeking to profit from the clashing of soldiers set up camps at a safe distance. The Arbiter man's victory, but at what cost? And then the last one is one that happens in play if we would get it, which is essentially taking down the Arbiter, which comes when turmoil gets too high. Brian, any sense of one of those being more interesting to you than another of those three?
I don't know. I can make a case for all three of them. I don't know that I have a strong preference.
Okay, if you don't have a strong preference, let me walk around and see how other people feel. Scott, do you have a strong preference on one of those?
Open war.
Open war is your preference. Certainly, there are some people who might still have some resentments against the Kingdom of Drago. I know that's an issue. What about for you, David?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking expansion, especially south, might lead to open war, but I mean, maybe just jump the gun or skip that step. I'd be fine.
Okay. So with open war, we take a look at that. So Scott, you kind of pushing it. Let me ask you this first question. What border is the war taking place on? Is it the war against Drago?
It is. I think Drago. Yeah. I mean, I put on my my wish list seeing that medal in play, and which means heading down there.
Okay. And so Ziv, what was the inciting cause of this war?
Well, I mean, those emerald mines are right there. I'm just looking at the map and thinking, like, what? I think the Kingdom of Drago, tried to say. I mean, maybe if we say like trying to expand is what starts a war, maybe Drago took care of that part for us and said, like, actually our borders are a little bit further north than you've been claiming. half those emerald mines are those are supposed to be ours, and we
So-
we were ignoring it, but now you've started like mining from our mines, and like now we have to like
So valuable resources on the table, expansion, and all it took was them to move into those areas with their claims, and that is the thing that set the blaze going. David, what victory has the opposing side won?
Let's see. Have we defined much of the Valley of Mist yet? It was just like a mysterious misty place.
Scott defined some of that last time, right, Scott?
I put it on the map. I think it's a complete unknown. What's in there is completely unknown. The mists are, they've kept any exploration away, was how I'd phrased it.
Okay, perfect. I think I'm thinking there was some kind of battle there, and our nation. I don't know. Do we have a nation's name? But the Arbiter's Kingdom kind of had a maybe steered the battle to go there, thinking that we obviously know all about the Valley of Mist. This should be easy. This is definitely to our advantage, and they won that battle handed. Like the Kingdom of Drago won that battle handedly.
Once again, we know that historically Drago won a great ambush victory over the Keeper of the Old Ruins in the past, in the first part of the game. So yeah, that sounds great. Sam, what power or nation or faction or force that we haven't really addressed yet, what one is like deciding who to support? And you can give a name to it, or you can look at an established one that maybe hasn't thrown their lot in one way or the other.
Remind me again what the currently established factions are.
Oh, sure. So beyond the ones that we have here from the PC factions, under the Arbiter down below that, I've got some other ones. And that's the Old Nobility, who have been bounced back and forth. We have the People of the Red Forest. These are weird runic practitioners who've kept themselves isolated and have been kind of adversarial. We have the Kingdom of Drago, which is who is at war with. We have the Compact of the Roads. This is a newly arisen merchant class. We have the Church of Uncreated Fire. And then we have this weird, alternate Kraken group that's out there.
Yeah, I think that it totally makes sense for a merchant class to try and hedge their bets and not pick sides until a clear victor is there, has risen. So I think this Compact of the Roads has they're playing the war. They're selling to both sides while trying to make a buck where they can, and eventually they might throw their weight behind one person or another when it seems obvious that there's no risk.
That is perfect. So we know what the project is. We know some dimensions of it. Just to give you a sense, there are 5 ticks on the progress clock, 5 ticks on the doom clock. Doom clock can arise from failed rolls at the high level. There are also some other things that can trigger that. One of the houses leaks information on the war. The Arbiter's agent is killed. An important settlement falls. the opposing forces get support from another power. Those are all things that will add ticks to the doom clock. So how do we get ticks on the progress clock? These are increased by supplying the following surpluses: recruits, defenses, leadership, morale, weaponry, scouts, spies, and transport. Those are the ones that are on the list that make sense for increasing the project's progress. And of course, those will need to be delivered down to that southern area, which is not an issue if you have a positive mood. If you have a negative mood, then we have to figure out about logistics and how things get from place to place. Does that sound reasonable? All right, let's do this. Let's take about 10-minute break here. When we come back, we will start with the court and we'll figure out what's going on. And we'll kind of frame that up and get rolling onto that. Does that sound cool? Okay, so going till about 5 after. So one of the mechanics we didn't really engage with as much last time that we might more this time is the idea of there being an agent for the Arbiter. Basically that there's a person who is a master spy or a warlord or whatnot who exists. We haven't really defined that person, but we can at any point. And when we zoom in, you can choose to run your character or like an NPC character, but you can also choose to run the Arbiter, their agent, and bring them in as a character, and they can evolve over time. And there's some advantages to doing that. They have a little more force and power. So just keep that in mind.
They are awesome to play.
Yeah, I remember in
I got to play it the one time, and it was like, wow, what an effective character.
I think you did that in that Free from the Yoke L5R game that we did.
Yeah. Still my favorite. That's my favorite game from last year.
I like the Shipwright's Stead. That's a good place.
Felt like it made sense to be this kind of shipbuilding place in this little protected cove.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that we didn't do was my roll move. I mentioned it, but we didn't actually do any of the mechanical bits.
So remind us of the roll move that you would have here.
So Curvold is the champion. Mark when you went sent to understand a mystery, place, or creature. Say 3 possibilities you suspect for the truth, and the GM will say which one you can rule out.
So now we can do this in a couple of ways. We can start with you having something particular that you want to go off on in relation to that, or you can kind of put a pin in that, and at a certain point when something comes up, you can say, I think this is what we want to lean into.
Yeah, I think what we established was this breaking of the sea rune and what that could mean for us as a culture and as this very religious community. That is not a good thing.
Yeah. So what do you think of the possibilities? What is going on with that that you suspect?
So
what has caused this?
Yeah, so I think the 3 that I had in mind, David, feel free to toss one in here if you have an idea, because this is kind of pulling into your faction a lot. the first one, the obvious one, there is a powerful mortal that is tampering with the old magics. The second one is the encroaching like outsiders are like the force of this outside culture is corrupting the old magics, or the third one being an ancient force is waking up, like the sea is actually changing and coming back, and we need to basically prepare for it.
I think that you have looked enough at this, have seen the signs, have read the winds and so on, to know that this is not the work of a powerful mortal, that there is not a singular person. And you may have heard some tales of what happened in the Red Forest, where some people tampered with things but were twisted by it. So we've already seen attempts to do that, but those have gone wrong. Does that fit with how we've been playing this out, David? Does that seem to work in the cosmology? Okay. So we're 10 years on. The Arbiter has continued. There has been peace in the land for 10 years, but recently there has been that push by Drago, and that attack there, and the decimation of certain forces there have led the Arbiter to make this call. So we start with the Arbiter's Conclave, with that gathering. Tell me, David, where do you think that the sort of the meeting, the festival for this, with this sort of new purpose to it, where do you think that's being held this year?
Let's see, I think last time we did this was the Broken Shield.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that would make sense. But okay, no, I got it. It's maybe at First Throne.
Okay.
So like kind of the capital, and they're bringing their whole army perhaps as a show of force.
Absolutely, and that's creating some tension, because we've established that there's a group of citizens now that that First Throne has grown. There's a group of locals who are maybe not as enamored of the Arbiter's control and so on. So I think this is probably creating a little more friction. You may recall that rather than being kind of an organized feast or anything like that, the Arbiter's Festival is a wild kind of celebration. There are organized fights that go on. There are trials by combat for those who have violated the norms of the various peoples. So it is a raucous thing that is perhaps not necessarily fitting with the kind of more civilized growth that has happened there in First Throne. How do you think that's showing itself, Samat?
So kind of how it's reflecting this massive rapid growth.
Yeah, what are we seeing that tells us that there is this sort of split between, these warrior forces of the Arbiter, who has always been a kind of a firebrand, and this more settled, civilized people here in First Throne?
I like the idea that maybe First Throne is built in tiers, with kind of what would have been the nobility at the top tier, And as you go down, the upper tiers, there's almost no sign of martial forces whatsoever. Any bodyguards or anything are going to look like normal, just normal members of a retinue. Whereas as you get further down, that's when you can tell that you are where this is happening and that the Arbiter is here and that, forces are arrayed. And then on the outskirts, of course, it's just poverty.
And Ziv, let me ask you this: the Arbiter's forces have been kind of a roving group of people, kind of militarized, but more sort of traveling around, enforcing rules and things like that. When it's now been 10 years, maybe even that's gotten a little more laid back. When the Arbiter kind of switches footing to a more martial footing, is it the Arbiter that is the general, or does the Arbiter have some generals, or is there one person? How do you think that sort of line of authority goes?
I mean, I think the Arbiter herself is still, directly, taking charge.
Hasn't let loose of those reins?
No, no. I mean, if anything, she may be better suited to that than the everyday kind of running of things.
Not that you would ever say that. But yeah. If anything, kind of secondary people are more the power vacuum is in all the everyday things that maybe she would have been more aware of. She's okay. I don't have time to deal with any of that right now. I'm focused on this conflict. So it makes sense that maybe her, then when we go to talk about her Arbiter's agents, that's maybe the person who handles the tax collection or the spying or things like that, or other sort of non-martial affairs. Okay. And lastly, Caravold, with this new challenge that's in the South and this new campaign that's being built up, what is the sign or symbol or banner that is arisen to mark this within our country? Like, how are they presenting this? What's the new imagery?
Yeah, so I think that the Arbiter has commissioned this shield and this kind of crest of a shield and two broken arrows splintering off of it. And it is this kind of like, it's purely propaganda, but that is like the new regiment of arms of the Arbiter themselves, this like guardian of the people type persona that they're trying to push.
So they're very much, gifting of heraldry and surcoats and that kind of thing, all of that with that imagery here during this festival. There's been the grand melee. It's maybe a little more organized to show sort of more military discipline than the sort of general punch out scrum that it has been in previous years, with people kind of dragged from the field. But this has gone on, and the Arbiter has been working with the people. Ziv, word has come to you from the homeland that it is not in the interests of Umote that the Arbiter win a victory over Drago. that's come through, hidden ciphered post and all of that kind of thing. But let's go ahead and do your role in this court phase then. Especially since yours is just a little bit different for the Holden court. You've got your trust and so on.
Is that a bad link to the roll with me?
Oh no, is it dead?
Maybe I'm clicking the wrong.
Let me check.
Let me see. Yeah. I think that's the link we were using. Doesn't seem to be working.
John just pushed out an update today, so it might have broken everything.
Oh yeah. Let me see if I can start a new room. Okay. We'll do it. Yeah, because he's got actually a landing page now. Text, name it something fun. Okay, so this is the new room. That's the visual dice roller. There's an easy 2d6 up at the top. You can play around with that. And I've made that change on the roller under the lines of it, so I'll change it elsewhere for a bit. So your favor is still +2, I believe.
Yeah, is that what I'm rolling? I'm rolling.
Yeah, I think during this that you still
Yeah, it
roll,
looks
I
like it's
believe.
the same roll. It's just the results are. Okay. How do I choose how many dice I roll?
So for this roll with me, you can.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, and there's also a quick 2d6 up at the top is my usual fallback. Look at you right out of the gate with a 10, huh?
There you go.
So on a 10 plus, on a 10 plus, you get to pick 2 of those special results from your not from here move.
Let's hear a rumor about events in the nation that bears further investigation.
It is said that there has been more movement from the people of the Red Forest. that they have been sending out agents and spies and things into the outside world. They've been very quiet for a long time, but there are rumors that they're active and out there and doing things. And your second pick?
Let's see, swap one surplus for another. Is there any point in? Part of me wants to trade away something to meet my need for attunement, just because we've got 3 different factions that all need it, and that's just a little excessive.
You could. What of your surplus would you trade away, though?
Trade away the engineers. I
Yeah.
don't have any specific plan for them.
And it makes sense, given that the engineers have been part of that project. That is a very magical thing. If you want to, kind of permanently assign them to that, and that will give you a connection, that seems fair to me.
Okay.
Yeah. So erase both engineers and attunement. The Arbiter is pleased. You are the representative, so the Arbiter is speaking to you and saying, we are grateful for the support that your people of Umote have shown us, and I hope that you will continue to be a valued ally within this struggle which is coming. Can we count on you and your people, Ziv?
Ziv would be very prepared for this question.
Oh, yes.
So I need to think for a moment. What exactly does this say? I don't know that I'm going to come up with the exact words, because
Sure. No. What's your intent? What is the impression you want to get across?
Because the truth is, Ziv has been tasked with dooming this project.
Oh, yes.
So Ziv is not going to just say, "Oh yes, we're totally loyal and you have our support," because that's just a flat out lie. So it's going to be phrased in a way where it sounds supportive without actually promising anything.
And Arbiter will recognize a certain amount of non-committal, but will
to a certain extent, that's like the way Ziv talks all the time.
Right.
So
And
it won't
is it just
sound like,
yes. I don't. You don't need to promise anything right now, but just know we have been very good to you and your people, and I hope that relationship will continue. But you're still in good favor. Let us come to the Keepers of the Old Runes. What is your favor?
Yeah, it looks like I have I'm at 0, unfortunately. Although if I give them what is it? I can get advantage in some way. It's
Yeah, I think you have a move for that.
oh, if I laud their virtues, the Arbiter's virtues.
Do the Keepers of the Old Runes go and laud them and butter them up in the face of this war?
Yeah, I think absolutely they do. And I think the way they're going to especially say it is, with the massacre of the Keepers that went as envoys to Drago to just learn more, we were sent back with dead bodies, and now the Arbiter's finally finding justice for us.
And there are great rituals more bright interior. The church is probably a little more neutral on this, so you take advantage of that vacuum. But let's see, roll with a +0 with advantage on holding court.
Oh wait, I advantage. Let me. It's good right now to miss, but let's see what this other D6 gives me. Oh, that was even worse. So I think I, if I'm not mistaken, I roll a 3, 3, and a 2 total. So best I can get is a 6.
The keepers have come in to do this, and they can feel right away that the tides have changed, that the superstitious nonsense and focused on mysticism that the keepers bring have no place right now in the court of an arbiter who wants hard steel and sinews and blood on the ground. And there's nodding and acknowledgement of the keepers, but then of course here come the nobles with a coffers to donate to the cause, and once again the nobles slip in to no, and they certainly take what would have perhaps been the honor and glory that would have gone to the keepers.
Mm-hmm.
Lose your influence on everyone else. Scott, you've had a couple of good rolls on holding court.
Yes. Quite lucky, let's just say.
But your favor is still a +2, so you're in very good shape.
Yeah. Turns out giving up almost everything you have for the project.
Absolutely. You've sacrificed so much.
Yep. So yeah. Let me go ahead and do my roll. +2. Eight plus the 2 is 10.
A 10. Look at you. So there are no resources yet invested in the project. But the Arbiter says we are gathering recruits. When we have those forces gathered, we want the horse lords to take and train and harden them for what is to come, for the battle that needs to go here in Drago. So we need to push to get recruits, and once they do, they will be in your hands to train.
You've the horse lords are humbled at your selection, and we will do the greatest training a force has ever seen to beat back the Drago.
Your losses, the gifts that you have given to the nation, have not been forgotten. And when Drago lies in our control, those lands will be certainly in greater part given over to the horse lords.
We are forever in your debt.
And yeah, then you are the horse lords are given great honor. People acknowledge and they see that you are valued amongst the company. And then last but not least, the cult of the Kraken have come to the court. They have a +1 favor, correct? So please roll holding court with a +1.
That is a 6.
That is a 6. You arrive, the ships arrive, and there are already whispers that have been going around in here. The cult of the Kraken. Can they really be trusted? We know that the kingdom of Drago has worshippers of the Kraken, and there's this dark cult elsewhere. These are former pirates. Can they really be trusted with anything in what is to come here? And certainly people look at you askance. They're nervous about that. You get an audience with the Arbiter, but it is quick, it is brief, and it demonstrates their lack of real trust in what the Kraken can bring to the table. And I think it is the merchants who have expanded and who have set up some trade routes, both overland and over water, that have a little more of the edge here. So they certainly take the place of honor, raised up more, whereas the Kraken might have done that. Stonia, David, I would be more than happy to retcon that to the 7 to 9.
Oh no, yeah. I was just realizing, like, how do I even gain favor? Why am I at 0? And I was like, oh, I should have been adding it these different times, and I was not. But
Yeah,
could be interesting to be out of favor, though. I kind of like that.
Are you sure? I'm more than willing to have you called back. Which would you prefer?
No, I'll let the dice ride. I like
Okay.
that. Just
in that case, on your next house move, take advantage.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
Yeah. So what I'd like to do is cross some paths of our PCs now. In the wake of this, and I think I want to start with the two who are on the outs the most. Carvold, you were present at this gathering, and I imagine are deeply dissatisfied with what has gone on. But you've seen that your faction is not alone, that the Keepers of the Old Runes have also clearly suffered some ignominies. And so it is, where do you think you find Stonia, who you know from them?
So Carvold is going out and seeking out Stonia, and I think that this is the you said that there's these festivities going on and these kind of celebrations that are happening with all of the different factions coming into the city. And I feel like maybe Stonia, as this like kind of rebellious outsider character, is not doing the stereotypical thing for her faction, which would be to like be off and studying or doing whatever. So you are in the center of the festivities and participating in the celebration, and so
experiencing the world.
Yeah, and so I think this is maybe like a you're I don't know if we want to say like going back for refills at some point. And Carvold is leaning up against the bar, like picking something out of his teeth with a skinning knife, as you're making your way up to the bar.
Stonia, when was the last time you saw Carvold?
Oh, it might be interesting if in this intervening decade she has been one of the journeys she took was out to sea or something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was on Carvold's ship, or a ship that he was also on.
So it might
ship that
only
I
have
built.
been, only
Yeah.
been a couple years. Okay. So, Stonia, how do you greet Carevold?
Um, yeah. Do you think we were probably friends, Carevold?
I feel like Carevold is the kind of person that has stupid nicknames for everybody.
Oh, cool.
And so you're definitely young Rune Witch. I don't know how you interpret that into that kind of relationship, but I think it's kind of like a jesting, like kind of jesting banter almost.
Okay, I love that. Yeah. And I think so maybe you're not even paying attention and she kind of sits down either at the bar or the table next to you and gives you another drink and just like, seems a little dry out here for you, old timer. Thought you might need
Yeah.
something to wet your whistle.
Thank you. You know me. And like you can tell that I just finished one, and so you've just like slid a new one. And I couldn't help but recognize you out on the floor there. You seem to be thoroughly enjoying yourself, not cooped up in the Arbiter's quarters.
Oh no, hasn't been that way for a while for me. Guess the apparently the good times are over, I guess.
Good times. We had good times. You should have told me when we were there, because I don't remember any good times.
Well, you might have got me there, but looks like things might get a lot worse.
Don't I know it?
So what brings you here then?
Well, I'm apparently the only one any of the captains will listen to. And so they decided that I'm the one who has to come to this Bruja gathering, whatever you want to call it. And apparently not even the people here will listen to me. So what use am I?
And you're the only ones they listen to in the fleet. And they truly are doomed. I feel for them. She like drinks to that.
Well, they'll all listen to their own friends and their own captains, but turns out when you want to get multiple captains to do the same thing, it's awful tight.
I know a thing or two about that, I suppose.
Now listen, and like I think this is maybe like the you get up to walk away and I grab your arm.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the only reason I'm out here. There's been some problems with the old runes. Some folks trying to break things they shouldn't be breaking. Some
Yeah, and
things gone awry.
I think that definitely gets her attention. Like her mood totally changes and she sits back down, leans in close. Like, what do you know about this?
I was hoping you would. I'm starting to feel the effects of something going wrong. I think the old magic's breaking up, and look, I know you're not one for the old ways, but we need your help.
Yeah, and she kind of does the equivalent of like I think before we had established that the keepers, when they make some kind of discovery or dissertation or even something like that, or just whenever they feel like they've accomplished something according to themselves, they give themselves like a tattoo somewhere. So maybe she's like rubbing like a face tattoo or something like yeah, I do know something about that. Maybe if it's reached the sea too, that's pretty unfortunate. I would definitely like to hear what you have to say or see what you've seen.
I don't know that we need to role play all of that, but
Yeah, no, I think that's a good place to
Yeah.
to cut. We can come back to the discussion later if we need to. But Ziv, you've had a productive meeting, managed to hold your composure together under a little bit of the questioning from the Arbiter. And I think you would see your old friend Samat, and would have heard that the Horse Lords had been certainly given good favor, like they have been raised up, and the Arbiter is looking to them for what is coming. And so what would you do? Do you feel a little hesitant to talk to Samat? Or maybe Samat has useful information.
Yeah, I've been sitting, like, looking at the mechanics and like trying to figure out what exactly Ziv's take on all this is. Because essentially I gain trust points for adding to the Doom track, but I don't think I really get anything for filling the Doom track. In theory, that's what I'm supposed to be trying to do.
Yeah. You will when, just like when the project was completed, there are benefits for the project failing that can roll out of that. It's not all for the bad, but it may be that's not the way you want to gain trust. You've got some other options for how to gain trust with your masters, like shipping back surpluses and things.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on how
it's just
loyal you want to be. How does Ziv feel? Ziv has been asked to betray the nation that he's been living in for 10 plus years.
And the envoys of the Umote Alliance is not the Umote Alliance. So what's good for that particular group is not necessarily the same as what's good for the other.
That is a wonderful way to justify it to yourself. Yes.
And where Ziv's
like an
lie to him that is it's hard
the
for me
office
to
of the
like,
ambassador doesn't represent the United States of America. It represents the office of the ambassador.
this is me, Brian,
Oh, yeah,
trying to understand
No,
what is going on in
perfect.
Ziv's head.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not clear cut for Ziv.
So Ziv is a little ambivalent about following those orders.
And it would have been a lot easier, I think, to sabotage an aqueduct than it is to sabotage a war effort. So that, that makes it tougher.
Yeah,
which is interesting. But I mean, I imagine Ziv is going to try to like throw some points on that Doom track. Okay. But when it starts to come close to like filling that track, I don't.
Maybe some hesitation. So
don't know how it's going to go.
So Samat, you see your old friend Ziv, and he seems maybe caught up in his own thoughts and hasn't quite greeted you with the same alacrity that he might have otherwise. What do you do?
Okay,
Where are we, Ziv? Where would I see you?
Yeah.
Are we in a garden? Are we in a tavern? Are we in just an open courtyard? Where are we at? I'll let you say.
Yeah, I imagine Ziv went on autopilot to wherever it would be where you could bump into other delegates and whatnot in order to, work the connections, that kind of thing. And then got there and then is just like staring off into space instead of their normal, like, approaching and glad handing and whatnot.
Okay, sure. I like the idea of this maybe being in some kind of garden where everybody's met with the Arbiter, and it's just one of these like kind of almost British gardens, you know, the very orderly with some paths and whatnot. So
Borrowed from some of the city dwellers.
yep. I will saunter over to Ziv, approaching from behind, and I will say, before Ziv notices me, I will clamp my arms down on your shoulders. It has been too long, old friend, and I'll spin you around. And I've just got the biggest smile. I'm actually pleased to see you. Haven't seen you for the better part of the decade. Should we wait for Lowell?
Let's give him a minute, I guess.
Okay. I'm going to close the door of my room because the dog opened it. Now I can hear my son's music.
We could, well, will he see it in chat? I was going to say we could like,
I'll see it in the recording, and we can hit
we
any
could-
big beats that we come up with.
we could also make the decision that we're going to take a break. Oh, no, he's back. Okay.
All
We don't
right,
have
he's
to.
back. So yeah, I've spun you around. I've got a large, not even a grin, just a huge smile to see you.
Samat, you look well.
Today has been good. Thank you. You look like you're pondering.
War is always difficult.
It is. It's the worst result to seek, yet sometimes it's the only solution that works. No matter the result, the Horse Lords would lose many young people. You might even lose many of our veterans. So yes, it's hard to contemplate, but we will do what we must.
We all must do our part.
And how have you found yourself these last several years?
Seeking to smooth tensions and bring peace were apparently in the wrong place.
Well, even the wars need the voice of peacemakers.
True.
Maybe just not on the front lines.
No, I suppose I'm grateful that the front lines will not be my place in this.
No, and I'm sure you will bring good guidance to those in need. You bring a special insight as I don't want to call you an outsider anymore. You're not. But as a
I'm both. I am and I am not.
right, you are from here, but not from here. Yes. Well, we've been tasked with doing some training for this war, which we shall do. We shall meet our duty.
You have recruits?
We have none as yet. We shall endeavor to raise some. And as you know, still very anxious to get down south to defeat that worm. I find myself uncertain which of these duties to engage in first. Duty for the Empire or duty for my clan.
Well, I suppose serving the Arbiter will serve duty to both.
I think just a kind of silent nod. And that feels like scene for me. Ziv, did you have anything you needed to add?
No, I mean, I think Ziv came to a decision there, but I don't know that. I don't know. If you want me to share what that was, I can, or it can.
That is totally up
just
to
play
the
out.
character or you, right? You know, I don't know what you were asked by the Alliance. Samat does not know that.
Yeah.
So
I like the idea that we can see on screen maybe a change in your expression that says that some choice has been made.
yeah.
What I'd like to do now is move up to the family level, because that's one of the ways that can kind of spark choices and things and actions that we get back on the character level, and we may kind of swap around to see where we want to get to with that. Let me start them with the keepers. Keepers, what do you have as needs right now?
We have 100 needs roughly.
Wow.
Yeah, we've got a lot.
You've got a lot of surpluses and a
Yeah.
lot of needs.
We're keeping pace pretty well between them, but yeah. Well, let's see. We started with land and lumber. To kind of, because we're
Never
just
managed
in
to
that-
solve those issues.
we sure didn't. We're still stuck in that, confined to that library area. We need some recruits. We also need attunement, especially as these runes are a changing.
So what is the move that you think the keepers need to do right now?
Yeah. Hold on, let me check something. I think I changed something that affects moves or something. No, when I use subterfuge to hide my involvement, I can pick an extra option. But I might not do that. But let's see. It seems like hopefully Sonia is about to address this attunement issue. So I might try to focus on the recruits. Sound the most interesting.
So do you want to do a read the wind or something, or do you already know where you want to get recruits from?
No, read the wind might be good. I think I want to kind of the way I'm thinking of how this will work is since they kind of get recruits from all over the different area, maybe they kind of do a sort of a, I don't know, I don't want to say propaganda campaign, but a propaganda campaign of, you know what you need to help in the front lines is more knowledge, and the battle tactic strategy courses offered at the library of the keepers.
Let's have you roll.
Yeah, so that is reach. Oops. Forgot my reach was, oh, pretty good.
Yeah.
Nine.
That is a 9. So you get to ask one of those questions.
Yeah, I think you're pretty well set up. How do I get that surplus?
You know that there are still some holdouts particularly in the northwest there. Rebels that like started in the war against the Empire and then got exiled and then didn't agree with the Arbiter, and so ended up in places like the Standing Men and the Dustway.
Mm-hmm.
And these are people that have not been reached out to in a number of years because they are so on that northwestern margin. I don't know who's over the border from there, but these are people that the Arbiter has not had as much attention to because the focus has been on the southern half. So you think they contacting them, making some kind of deal with them, they could be a ready supply of people if they could be brought in and convinced.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool.
Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
Let's come to the Cult of Kraken. What is it that the cult wants? What is it that they want to do?
So there's two very different things going on with what the cult wants to do and what Kervold wants to do.
Absolutely.
I think this is going to be what the cult wants. We are currently, I believe, strapped for supplies, and we hoped that this war effort would help kind of fill the coffers of our ships and would help us kind of build up this need, but apparently that is not happening, and so we might need to take matters into our own hands.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that once news gets back to the fleet of this like kind of snubbery almost, there might be a few captains that decide that screw the Arbiter, we're gonna go fight anyway and prove that the cult can be trusted,
Mm-hmm.
and also kind of do our own thing along the way, and maybe kind of raid the coastal cities of the what do we call it, the Kingdom of Drago.
Name for me the first big coastal city that you want to raid.
I think it's I think the city is just called Elwyr's Rest, ELYRR. Sorry, ALWYRR. Sorry.
Alwyr's Rest. And it's essentially the we'll say the northernmost of the coastal cities there. And what do your ships look like?
I have that they are small, fast, and kind of well provisioned for their size, and
Mhm.
so their specialty is getting in, taking what we can, and getting out with a good haul before anybody really has time to muster a good defense.
And on screen, what are the decorations? Are these somber colors? Are they colorful? Or do they have a particular design to them in terms of decoration and such?
I think because we rely on like stealth and speed, there is special care that is taken in making these ships look like any other seagoing vessel, even though the interiors are vastly different, and so we fly random colors, whatever flags we happen to have captured or taken at any given point, and so the liveries are, I think maybe at this point, some older Kingdom of Drago liveries. maybe they're not quite up to the modern style, but most folks would just look at it and say, oh, they haven't bothered to buy a new flag in 10 years.
Absolutely. So this is seized by force. Sail into Elwere's Rest, or claim by
Yes,
force, rather.
Yep, and I have a thing. So when you seize by force a coastal settlement, pick one. You can quickly move any surplus found back to your boats. The settlement civilians dare not fight back, or you're able to disarm their defenses before striking. I think this is more of a surplus, like a resources gathering thing. And so the whole point here is to get in and get some resources and potentially get out if we manage to claim the settlement while we're here, then bully for us. But the real prize here is whatever we can.
Yeah, and the claim by force is about taking the thing. So this is about getting this and you'll be able to get it out and get it where you need to go if you succeed.
Yeah.
So let's have you roll claim by force.
So I think the way the move is you can quickly move any surplus found back into your boats. What benefit does that specifically get me compared to just seizing the settlement?
Well, it means there's no logistical question. But let's look at that compared to what we have as the potential costs there. I think what it would do is, and this is the way I would read that, is those picks would allow you to essentially substitute in one of those choices for, you'd see on the 7 and 9 and the 10 plus, you have the two sort of negatives or one negative. You'd be able to swap that in for one of those negative choices. So essentially, I think you lower your potential negatives down by one step against a coastal. That's the way I'd read that.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I roll plus grasp. Which is +1 for me. Yes. That is a 5.
That is
it should be +1, so a 6, but still.
6. So what your forces go in, what do you think is the like the failing there? What is the problem that occurs?
I think the problem is that these captains acted without intel or without knowledge of what's going on, and there happened to be a garrison in this town because it is very close to the border, and so this might have been a like a military encampment just on the other side of the city that was able to mobilize and turn around even before we were able to.
And I think there will also be signs to you that the people of Drago have some gift with the sea rune, some gift with the ocean rune, and that seems to turn against the blessings that the captains normally expect, kind of turn against them. And I don't think this increase the doom thing, but I do think we are going to increase turmoil. And I think that you lose some ships, like they crash in on the couple of captains that are there, and lay waste to those ships and send those people to the bottom of the bay there. And I think that you're going to gain the need recruits, because a host of sailors that would have been your strong sword arms died. Advance warning, overstepping themselves, but a certain amount of a supernatural worry that would be in the hearts of the survivors who go back. Does that sound fair?
So would you like me to add the need for remove my surplus of sailors, or remove the numerous tag on my fleet? Because I've got a bunch of different things.
Interesting. So the numerous tag on your fleet. I'll let you choose how you want to do that. I'm good. Any one of those costs seems like a good way to absorb that.
Yeah. I feel like we've got a lot of people that need recruits, so I don't necessarily want to add that as a need, but I will remove the surplus of sailors.
Okay. That seems fair. And keep the numerous. You still have boats, but abled seamen, some of the best volunteered for this demonstration and fell. And they may call that meeting of the 7 captains sooner than 7 years at this point. What's Carevolt's reaction when he hears of this?
I think Carevolt is at first it's the, oh, of course this young upstart captain decided to go off on their own and do this thing and acted on their own and got burned for it. Confusion over who the new high captain will be, because the position of high captain passes to whoever killed the old captain. So no idea who that is now, or whoever managed to escape on that wreck, and so trying to figure that out. And also worry of these rumors of the broken blessing.
At least gave you some information, some suspicions there. So there is that. Excellent. Let's come to Ziv. Ziv, what is next for the envoys? Oh, yeah, actually, yeah. Well, let's take 5 before we go on to that. Thank you. Take 5. We'll come back. We'll do that. We'll do Ziv and then Samat, and then we'll kind of check in more generally before we kind of wrap. Okay. Ziv, what are the envoys doing?
What move would this be? I mean, you're definitely interested in the movement of the people of the Red Forest.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to read the wind about them?
Yes, I guess that would be read the wind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could send, essentially try to send people in, start to subterfuge them. But I think read the wind's probably a good place to start.
Yeah. No, I think it's read the wind. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no.
That doesn't sound like good. Why
did it not put the modifier on there?
I did roll 2d6. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why it didn't add my modifier, but that doesn't matter. So a 4.
A 4. So I think that you will find your agents out Now, some of them come from the homeland and things like that. And they, some of them are locals. We see your agents going out. Tell me, Ziv, what faction finds out, capture one of your agents, they turn them through magic or other means? What faction finds out what marching orders you've been given by the homeland?
Oh, interesting.
Is it the people of the Red Forest? Is it one of your PC factions? Is it someone else?
Wow. None of the PC factions seem like it makes sense. Unless anyone thinks that their faction might have. Some ways I feel like it's the least interesting, but the people of the Red Forest are the only one that I'm not coming up with any good reason why it would be anyone other than them.
So I think that it is that because you have some amongst your village of your people, you brought some of them. And I think that it is one day that one of those people who's been here amongst your company for 10 years, we'll call him Taven. And Taven comes and says, one of your people says, one of your, Taven wishes to speak with you, and, you have a fairly good regard for him. And he comes to speak with you and he says, Master Ziv, I need to speak with you privately.
Very well.
And he says, the people of the Red Forest know what guidance you have been given in regards to the conduct of the war. And we also do not wish the land to emerge victorious against Drago. You have always been good to me, but my brother still lives in one of the other villages, and they reached out to me a few years ago. I have not given them anything, but they asked that I pass this message on to you.
I could understand why they may feel that way.
Is there anything you wish me to pass on to them?
Ooh,
If you wish to
I think
consider,
yes, all these conversations are very.
I know I'm putting you in the hot seat. I keep
No,
doing that to you.
it's great, but I think I have. Yeah, I think I'm going to waste too much of our time if I'm trying to think of exactly how to phrase everything. I need to just. I'm gonna have to fall back on just kind of describing. I
Sure.
think what Ziv is not going to like out and out confirm that is
Mm-hmm.
the directive. What Ziv's reply is basically going to be like, tell your brother his people should be very careful that they don't get themselves caught in between two much larger forces. And yeah, something.
I'm sure the same could be said to you, but I will pass that message on to them. I do not mean to betray your trust. You have always been good to me, but and if you wish, I will leave the stead and carry this message back myself.
Yeah, do so.
And he will bow and take your words, and he will head out.
And now Civ is just like, who the hell is leaking? Like that's.
Yeah, I think it will only be once you realize that you know, amongst the agents that you sent out that a couple of them have gone missing and their trails go cold, that you realize that some of them have been grabbed up. Samat, horse clans, horse lords. What are you up to?
We would like to move our scouts, our surplus of scouts, down to the Valley of Mist and see what exactly is down there.
Interesting.
Well, looking at what's needed for war, we know that there's going to be weaponry, obviously, especially for training forces. We're going to need some defenses for those forces to be arrayed into against the hordes that'll come. So we're looking to see what's there that can be made of use for this war.
So I do think that's read the wind, right? You are sending your people in to investigate. Let's have you go ahead and make that roll.
I think my reach is flat. Yes. I did roll 7.
A 7. So what is your question?
Go back to the questions. It would be helpful to look at the correct move. So yeah, I think how do we get surplus defenses? I think let's shoot for that because that's right down there. It's right by.
So I think one of the things you'll realize is that there are caches around in that southern area, things left over from the Empire. And that, you send some people that go and speak to the engineers that were brought from Drago, to ask them about what happened in the South with the defenses, what went on with them. And I think that they will tell you there are several places where the Empire buried material, buried goods, things that could be used for defenses that they couldn't drag with them. That if you can organize your people, you might be able to excavate those. Some of them are near the Valley of the Mist just because that was an area that people avoided, and are on the outskirts of that. And if you do that, then you should be able to aid and buttress the southern line.
Okay. Yeah, so I think we will move who we can into that area.
Okay. So we'll make a note so you know that there is an opportunity there on the table, something that you can go and get. Might be in some people's control, might be things to grab, or may just take time to do that. But that is there, and you know of it. Let me check in with each of the PCs and see where they are, what their plans, where they're thinking of going to, as much as anything to kind of set us up for next time. Stonia, what's your agenda in light of what has been going on in the land?
Yeah, I think she I don't know if she personally had the kind of quest to go see the emerald mines, but I think either speaking for her house or for her, maybe these tensions down by the border are making them reconsider that. And I think Stonia is much more interested in this going out with the I guess the cultists, the followers of the Kraken, and Kervold in particular, to see this this perhaps broken rune up close to study it.
So even though you're kind of but we're kind of looking at those gems, the call of the runes again, and so you might look at meeting up with whatever Kervold has on the table. Okay. Kervold, what in light of what has happened is going to be your next direction?
Yeah, I don't know if that's actually the first thing that Kervold is off doing, because he still has the things that he was tasked with doing here in the city. Because it's not very often that we get to negotiate with this many other factions at the same time. We're pretty spread out. And so I think that one of the things that Kervold has been tasked with doing is to get in touch with the what do they call it? Sorry, the Umote Alliance, or the envoys of the Umote Alliance, and because it is our belief that the Umote Alliance will be sending forces to aid with this military force, and so you will need passage, you will need ships, you will need transportation, and so I've been asked to try and bid on that transportation to try and get some of that work, essentially.
All right. And then what about Ziv? What's on Ziv's agenda?
Good question. Man. I wonder if Ziv almost just turns to trying to meet the need for luxury items instead of trying to deal with this war that is really making things difficult.
Okay. So that may be your next step is doing the kind of hunting that might be a little more house level. Okay, that seems
Yeah.
fair. And what about for Samat?
Smut's pretty torn between their personal agenda and duty with the Arbiter.
But you've gained so much in service to the Arbiter.
I think Samat is going to lead the expedition into the Valley of the Mist.
Okay. All right. So this is me kind of framing up for where we're going to start next time. So it looks like I made a note here. So we're going to start with a Caravold Ziv scene to get that kind of discussion, negotiation. We'll probably check in with Stonia about researches. And then we might do the Ziv house move for finding out where the luxuries are. And then it looks like there might be an opportunity to zoom in, or we'll do it fast to go into the Valley of the Mist. That might draw a couple of the PCs into it. That feels like a good framework for where we're going to start the next session. Does that sound okay?
Sounds great.
Okay. So I'd like to stop there. And because little cognitive overload in this game, there's a point at which I hit, okay, I've got too much in my head now. I wouldn't mind if you would all be okay with it, to a quick stars and wishes. Stars, just to point out something you dug, and wishes, things you definitely want to see, next time or coming forward for your character, that kind of thing. So David, is it okay if I kind of keep the order I've been going and start with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You can do both. I always do both at the same time. So
let's see. I'll give my star to Scott here for going just total war right off the bat. That was pretty exciting, because I was thinking like, I guess I should play it safe. Maybe I'll suggest the expansion one, and then maybe in 10 more sessions we might go to war. But you're like, you know what, we're only playing for March. And I'm like, yeah, let's go to war. That's way better. As far as wish, yes, I was thinking of something. My house is set up to be a pivotal role in the cultural calendar, like with weddings and funerals and stuff. I don't know if some point in the future we could have the keepers overseeing one of these, important political weddings or funerals. Although maybe I just sentence someone to die. Hopefully not.
No, I think that's a great idea. Doing that as a framework for a good house move too.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way for it to get, because I don't think we've seen what those rituals look like. So that would be really good. Yeah. That's a great point.
Cool.
Yeah. Sam, I'm going to save you for last because you're the new player here. Scott?
I'm going to star Sam. I like the faction that he's brought on at the table. I like that I think they're going to play in really well. I also like that they're very different than the rest of us by being, this cult of the Kraken, but they've also got ships and everything. I was very jealous that you've got fleets. Pirate ships are always the best. My wish, actually, I didn't have one until David mentioned seeing more of the keepers, and it struck me that we haven't seen kind of the keepers being keepers, and so that would be a really, really great thing to see. So I second his wish, basically.
I want to jump onto your star. Sam, your instincts are great. Like, I thought you had watched like all the videos. Like it was so good, so smartly done, fit in. I mean, you looked at the map and the stuff. I was just like, wow, this is great. So I just want to say,
Yeah,
what a dynamite jump in. I couldn't be more pleased. I enjoyed that very much. So I just want to second that.
Thank you.
Brian, stars, wishes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, stars all around. Yeah, stars for sticking Ziv right in the tough spots. Stars for Sam for jumping in. For Scott just ready to march off to war. And David, I really like your recruitment is just put some runes on it. That's our solution. Oh, we're at war. Come learn how to put some runes on it. That's the solution for everything. It's just, yeah. I love the keepers and their runes. Wishes. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. I don't want you to ever feel bad, by the way, of going to the here's my intention, or here's what I want to get across. You should never, because I see you sometimes going to get stuck. And so don't worry about that, or don't worry. Yep. Don't hesitate to say to me, come back to me, lol. If you ever need to do that, just say I want to give you the time, because I put you on the hot seat so many times tonight, and I keep doing that for Ziv, and I feel bad about that. So, anyway, because I love Ziv, and I love the complexity that you've dug yourself into with the family and the sister and all that stuff. So,
yeah, it's very easy to get into the trap of wanting to speak out every scene, but books don't do that, right? I mean,
oh yeah.
Books don't have the characters speaking the entire book. It's not a play. So
I just remembered you reminded me of another wish I want to shoehorn in here at the last second.
Sure.
But I think Ziv's a child. It's probably almost an adult or an adult at this point, right? Since we zoomed ahead 10 years.
Right.
I'd love to see how they grew up.
Okay.
Whoa, forgot about that.
Thank you. That's a wonderful chip you've put on the table there, David. Sam, first session, I know it's a lot, but stars, wishes, your thoughts?
Yeah, stars to you guys for just making a world that's evocative enough that I can just kind of like pick little things out of it and be like, oh, that's cool. Ooh, that's cool. I'm going to integrate those with the things that I'm doing. I really loved the werewolves thing and being able to turn that a little bit. And it was all very good. And then specifically a star to David for, I really enjoyed that scene with Sonia. So thank you very much for that. And then I think my wish, I would really love to integrate with, or at least have a scene with Samat, because I think that our houses have a really interesting relationship, and I want to explore that, and I don't know how, but I want to find out.
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah. Awesome. I have my notes. Thank you. I had a great time. I'm very glad we're doing this extra session. I couldn't be more happy that Sam has joined us for this. I'm very excited to see where this goes. Thank you all so much. I'm going to stop recording now. I can find the button.